Good morning, everyone. My name is Susan Crum-Cox, and welcome to Chair Yoga. Let's start off in our seated resting position. That may be all the way back in the chair for you, leaning back, closing your eyes, relaxing your shoulders back and down. Breathing good, deep, relaxing breaths. Some of us may prefer to sit at mid-chair. It's your choice. But closing the eyes and breathing in and out through the nose, if possible. If not, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Good, deep, relaxing breaths. Emptying our mind, letting that outside world just slip away. With each breath in, taking in some energy for our body, some oxygen for our brain, and with each exhalation, letting go of some tension, calming the body. Breathing, a few more. And with that next breath, allowing the chin to fall gently downward toward the chest. Feeling that stretch in the back of the neck and the top of the back. Couple of breaths here. One more. And with the next breath, bringing our face back to center, opening our eyes and taking our face upward toward the sky. Feeling that stretch now in the top of the chest, in the front of the neck. Relaxing our shoulders back and down and breathing. A couple more breaths. And let's return our face to center. Taking our face to the side as if to look over one of our shoulders. Feeling the stretch in the sides of the neck now. One more breath. And then bringing the face back to center before taking it in the opposite direction as if to look over the other shoulder. Noticing that there might be differences in stiffness on one side as opposed to the other. That's normal. Another breath, and then let's bring our face once again back to center. If you're not already at mid-chair with your seat bones, come up to mid-chair. Bring your feet along with you. Align those ankles underneath the knees. Feet are about hip-width apart, shoulders back and down. With the next breath, let's inhale and shrug those shoulders up as high as they'll go. And then exhale and come back down. Once again, shoulders up with the inhale and down with the exhale. A few more. Shrug up and down. Another up and down. Last one. Up with the shoulders and down with the shoulders. Let's let our hands fall down to the side. Let's sweep them way out. Let's come up to the top and let's pull them into heart center. Once again, arms can come down, stretch way out, stretch way up, and come into center. Let's do a little flow of this movement, down and up, and then into the center. Again, down, up, into the center. This will be our last time. Down, up to the top, and then come into the center. Returning the hands to the tops of the thighs once again. Let's drop one arm down. Let's raise it up. Let's look up if we can, or look over the front of the chair if we need to. Let's stretch that body up higher with each breath. Breathing, feeling those side body muscles stretch. You can stay here, or you can take that arm over the body, keeping the hips grounded on the chair. Breathing, feeling that pull intensify in the side of the body. One more breath. And then let's bring that arm back to the top. Let's turn that palm outward. Let's float that arm down, returning it to the top of the thigh. Once again, arms come down, out to the side, and up to the top, and then into the center. Let's go to the other side with that lateral stretch. So this arm comes down, sweeps out and up. Looking up, we reach up and stretch up. We breathe and lift a little more, and if we like, we take the arm over the body. Remembering that if having that arm up causes pain, you can always come back out of that pose. Float that arm down and just breathe. One more breath. Then that arm can come back to the top, can turn out the palm and float that down. Let's take both arms down now. Let's sweep them way out and up to the top. Staying there, looking up, reaching up, lifting the entire upper body. Breathing. Staying here if we choose, or widening the arm space, arching the back and doing a slight back bend. Now if that's too much, remember you can always return to vertical, but breathe good breaths wherever you are. One more breath. And then let's bring the body back up to vertical. Let's turn out the palms. Let's slowly float those arms down, returning the hands to the tops of the thighs. Let's scoot out to the front of our chair, bringing those seat bones out, bringing the feet out with us, aligning those ankles underneath the knees again, sitting up good and straight. We're going to do a little bit of warming up of the lower body. So let's extend the heel out in front. Let's raise the foot up. Let's rotate at the ankle. Going in one direction, getting that circulation going in the lower body. Breathing. Let's reverse that rotation and come back the other way. Breathing a few more breaths, a few more turns, and then let's bring that foot back down parallel to the other on the floor. Let's go to the other side. Heel out to the floor, lift the foot up, and rotate. Breathing, continuing to breathe through all our poses. Let's reverse that rotation, coming back the opposite way. A few more turns, and then let's place that foot back down on the floor, parallel to the other. Let's take that foot and leg we were just working with, and let's extend it out to the side. Let's push the heel out, putting the foot in a flex position. So if my hand was my foot, the heel, the palm of my hand, it would go out, and the toes would be my fingers coming back. So we're flexing that foot and breathing, feeling the calf muscle stretch. And with the next breath, we're going to pick the foot up and point it like a ballerina. The foot is back down on the floor, but we're stretching the top of the foot now and different muscles. With the next breath, let's return to a flex. Let's go back to a point. Let's finish one more flex with 2 breaths. Next breath, and then let's bring that foot back in parallel to the other. Let's go to the other side. So setting that foot out to the side, heel out, toe up, flexing the foot, feeling the calf muscle stretch. Let's breathe. With the next breath, let's point the foot, Go back into another flex. Our last point. And then one last flex for 2 breaths. One more. And then let's bring that foot in parallel to the other. Let's fall into our butterfly now. So taking the soles of our feet toward one another, turning the feet on their paw or the feet on the sides. Let's set up straight with our hands in mid-thigh. Breathing good breaths. And with the next breath, let's drop the chin downward. Continuing to take good breaths. One more. And with the next breath, let's slowly lift our face back up to center. Let's open our eyes. Let's take one of our feet to the floor. Let's follow it with the other. Let's step out wide. Let's get up. Let's come around to the back of our chair. Placing our hands on the back of the chair, let's step back into our downward dog. So our feet are about hip width apart. We have a slight bend of the knees. We're pushing our weight way back. We're hinging from the hips, lowering our torso so that ears are between elbows. Breathing good breaths. Feeling that stretch in the lower back, in the sides of the hips, across the hips maybe. We'll all feel it a bit differently. Let's continue to breathe. Good breaths. One more. And then let's do a deep knee bend, and then let's straighten. Once again, a deep knee bend, and then let's straighten. Last time, a deep knee bend, and let's straighten. And let's step up to the back of the chair, coming upright behind the chair. Hands can rest on the chair at this point. Let's take the foot out to the side and into the ankle. So the toe is to the floor, the sole of the foot is into the ankle. Opposite hand to the knee that is out, raises out to the side and then up overhead. Then with the next breath, let's lift the body upward. Breathing. Finding the focal point off in the distance, something that doesn't move. Holding that pose. This is a good tree pose right here. Holding the pose and breathing. But if you'd like a little more of a challenge, you can bring that foot up to the calf, keeping a slight bend in that standing leg. You can lift that other arm up to the top. Now if you fall out of the pose, you can always come back in. But continue to breathe and lift the body, whichever version you're in. Stretching upward with each breath. One more. And then let's take one arm down to the chair, follow it with the other. Let's step back into our downward dog once again. Soft knees, hinge from the hips, and push the weight way back. Remember that your head doesn't need to go any deeper than between the elbows. One more good deep breath. And then let's do a deep knee bend. And let's straighten and let's step back up to the chair once again. Coming upright and taking the foot on the other side out and in to the ankle. Opposite arm to the knee that's out comes out to the side and if possible lifts up overhead. We find that focal point again. We lift the body and breathe. Staying here if you choose, raising that other arm at this point if you like, bringing the foot up to the calf. All of these are choices. And then if you haven't raised that other arm, you may at this point. Continuing to breathe, good deep breaths. One more. And then one arm can float down. Let's follow with the other. Let's step back with one foot and then the other, and let's find our downward dog. Hinging from the hips, breathing good breaths. Remember to keep your knees slightly bent to protect the health of those knee joints. Couple more breaths. Last one. Then let's do a deep knee bend and let's straighten. And let's step back up slowly, coming upright behind the chair. And once there, let's step around and have a seat again at mid-chair. Aligning our feet up again, ankles under knees, shoulders back and down. Hands resting on the thighs. Let's get in our cat and cow poses to stretch our spine. Let's start with our cow, pushing out the chest, looking up, breathing. And then coming back through neutral spine, pulling in the core. Pull that belly button as if you're going to touch the backbone with it. Crouch forward like a scared cat. And then once again, coming back through neutral spine, you come into the cow. We're going to do a series of these poses, a flow. You're welcome to follow me if you like, or follow your own breath. But make sure you are breathing. Sometimes we get so intent on the pose, we forget that part. But we have to breathe. A few more. And then, whichever pose you're going into now, let's complete it fully. And then let's return ourselves to an upright position, relaxing those shoulders back and down, opening those eyes if you've had them closed. Let's drop our arms down. Let's sweep them out, up to the top, and then come into the center. Again, arms come down, reach way out, and come to the top and into the center. Our last time, arms down, out, and up, coming to center before extending to the front. Taking the hands apart, back of the hands together, sweep those arms way out and way back, down low. So your fingers are spread wide, your palms are pushing towards one another. It's as if you're holding a giant beach ball behind the chair, with those palms pressing towards one another and trying to keep that ball from falling to the ground. As you do that, you'll notice that tension will build between your fingers, all the way up through your arms to your shoulders. But continue breathing, continue expanding those fingers, continue pressing the palms together. A few more breaths. Last one. And then let's allow our arms to fall down, our hands and arms to shake out, our palms to return to the tops of the thighs, and let's take a good breath in and exhale that breath out. Dropping the arms again, let's take them out into the top before going into our warrior pose. Let's take our hands to the thigh, let's step one leg out. Let's rearrange our hips so that we have one hip on the chair and one hip off. Back arm is on the back of the chair, front arm is at the side of that front thigh. If you look over the leg that's across the chair, your ankle should be underneath the knee. Sit back up straight and look up and out over the side of the chair. Good deep breath. Top of the toe of this front leg is on the floor, and that leg makes a 90-degree angle. With the next breath, let's draw that outer arm, front arm, out and up. Following it with our gaze, looking up, stretching up, lifting the body up a little bit more with each breath. Now, if looking up is a problem, remember, you can always look out over the side of the chair. Breathing, stretching. This is a good warrior pose. But if you'd like a little bit more, you can take that front toe and slide it back, pick it up, take it out behind you, readjust your hip, allow it to stretch out a little bit. No pain, remember, just a good stretch. And then once you've stretched your leg, lift the body a little higher. Breathing, stretching. Staying here if you choose, but if you want still a bit more, you can arch the back and take that arm back over the head. Breathing, good breath. Couple more, whatever version of the pose you're in. And with the next breath, let's bring our arm back up to the top. Let's turn out the palm. Let's slowly float that arm down as we slowly draw that extended leg in until they meet one another. Then once you're sideways again, scoot back in your chair. Find a comfortable position. Facing sideways with hands coming to heart center in the prayer position. With the next breath, let's twist our body toward the back of the chair. A good spinal twist. Breathing. One more breath. Then let's bring our body back to facing sideways. Let's take our palms back down to the tops of the thighs. Let's step that front leg toward the front of the chair. Let's follow with the back leg, coming back to our facing forward position. Let's drop our arms down. Let's take them out and up to the top and then into the center. We're going to go to our warrior pose on the other side. So let's step out. Let's rearrange a hip so one is on the chair, one is off. Back arms on the back of the chair, front arm rests at the side of the body. Trying to make that leg be at a 90-degree angle with the top of the toe on the ground or the floor. Good deep breath looking out over the side of the chair. And with the next breath, let's draw that front arm out from the body and up overhead as we follow it with our gaze. Stretching the body upward. Breathing, lifting, remembering that if we ever need to, we can always float an arm down. We never want pain. You can stay here and lift and breathe and stretch, or you can take that front leg, push that toe back, stretch that leg out behind you, and then once it is stretched out, lift the body a bit higher. Staying here and breathing, or arching the back and taking that arm back over the head, knowing that if you need to, you can come back up to vertical. Breathing good breaths. One more. And then let's bring that body back up to the top. Turn that palm outward. Float that arm down slowly. Draw that leg in just as slowly to meet. Then scoot back in your chair. You're facing sideways again. Feet are about hip width. Shoulders back and down. Hands to heart center once again. Good deep breath, and as we grow taller, let's twist toward the back of the chair. Breathing. One more. And then let's bring our body back to sideways facing. Let's take our palms down to the tops of the thighs. Let's step one leg to the front. Let's follow it with the other. Let's come all the way out to the front of our chair and find once again our butterfly. So soles of the feet coming together. Yours may just be coming together at the top, or maybe they're coming together flat. It takes time to achieve that flexibility. Readjust your seat bones to open out those joints, those hip flexor joints, and place your hands at mid-thigh. With the next breath, let's drop our chin downward and breathe. Good deep breaths. Relax those shoulders. With the next breath, let's draw our hands up to the tops of our thighs. Let's keep our elbows and arms into the sides of the body. Let's point our elbows toward the back of the chair, pushing our shoulder blades together. Let's breathe. Couple more breaths. One more. And then with the next breath, let's lift our face slowly back up to center. Let's open our eyes. Let's allow our hands to slide down toward the knees and relax those arms. Let's put one foot on the floor. Let's follow with the other. Let's step out wide and let's get up slowly, coming around again to the back of our chair. This time, finding a wider stance for the feet, about hip width apart. Actually a little wider than hip width, maybe as wide as your chair legs. You find a good width that's good for you where you're stable. We're going to get in our moonflowers, so if you do not need to have your hands on the chair for balance, you can allow them to rest at the side with fingers expanded. Engaging those fingers stretches the muscles and engages the muscles of the arm. With the next breath, let's do a deep knee bend, and then let's straighten. Again, let's do a deep knee bend, and then let's straighten. Continuing with the flow of this, called moonflowers. Make your knee bends as deep as your knees will tolerate. Some of us will need shallower bands. Couple more. Deep knee bend and straighten. Again, deep knee bend and straighten. This will be the last one. Deep knee bend and straighten. Now, if it allows, if your arms allow, raise it up. Stretch out the fingers. Breathe, and this time when you bend your knees, bring the elbow into the side of the body. So deep knee bend and straighten. Again, deep knee bend and straighten. A few more. Deep knee bend and straighten. Deep knee bend and straighten. Last two, deep knee bend and straighten. Last one, deep knee bend and straighten. Now, if possible, put that other arm up. Make yourself a 5-pointed star. Good deep breath, deep knee bend and straighten. Both elbows are coming in now. Deep knee bend and straighten. You might notice that you're building some heat in the body. We're using a lot of major muscle groups here. Deep knee bend and straighten. Two more. Deep knee bend and straighten. And last time, deep knee bend and straighten. So hands come to the back of the chair. We step back, finding our downward dog once again. Slight bend in the knees, pushing the weight back, hinging from the hips. Breathing good breaths. Couple more. Last one. And then let's do a deep knee bend. Let's straighten and let's step back up once again to the chair's back. Feet are about hip width apart, shoulders back and down, arms can come down and then up to the top. Palms together, turn out the palms and just as slowly float back down. Let's do a series of these movements. Up to the top, turn out the palms and float back down. Now you can keep your gaze out over the front of the chair if you like, or if you want to add your head to the mix when your arms go up, follow them with your gaze. Then as they go down, your head comes down. A few more with this gentle cool down, especially of the upper body. Two more, up to the top and down. Last time, let's stop at the top. Let's put our hands together. Clasped hands, let's step out just about a half step for a little bit wider base. Let's make steeple fingers, so that's index fingers up, the rest of the fingers are clasped. Let's lift the body up, growing taller, and then let's sway over to the side. A nice stretch of that side body. Breathing. One more. Then let's come back up to the top and let's go the other way. Swaying and breathing. the next breath, come back up to the top. Let's separate our hands and let's float back down slowly. Once the hands get down to the bottom, let's clasp them behind our hips, loosely, interlacing the fingers. Good deep breath, exhaling that out. Let's straighten the arms and lift the hands and arms away from the hips. Keeping the body upright and forward. You don't want to bend over to do this. Good deep breath, and then relax. With the next breath, let's raise the arms again, straightening them and lifting them, remembering that it's not about how far you lift your arms, but where you feel that stretch. Don't hurt yourself. Let's relax. Good deep breath. Let's do it one last time. So raise the arms out and back, remembering that flexibility is built over time. Good deep breath. And then let's relax those arms. Let's take the hands apart. Let's shake out the arms. Let's put one hand on the chair. Let's step around and have a seat, coming once again to mid-chair. Lining up our feet under our knees, our arms are backing down. Now, if you have a band or a belt, you can bring that into your lap at this time. I'm going to use my jacket for my band. You can use anything really, especially if you're at home. You can make things adapt. So I've just got my jacket here. I'm going to take it in my hands and I'm going to put it out on the tops of my knees. We're going to do a raising and lowering of the band with an intake and exhale of the breath. So let's inhale and raise that band up as high as it will go with our breath, and then let's bring it back down with the exhale. Once again, let's lift up, and then let's exhale down. Couple more. Up on the inhale, down on the exhale. Last time, up on the inhale and down on the exhale. Now, this jacket can double as a ball. If you have a ball of your own, feel free to use it. But I'm going to wad this into my own ball and I'm going to set it out at the top of my knees. We're going to take that ball out and up at chest height and we're going to gently twist side to side. Breathing. Gentle cool down. Couple more. And then let's bring that ball back down to the knees. Let's draw the ball in toward the body. Let's roll the shoulders back a few times, loosening up those joints a little more. Let's roll the shoulders forward a few times. Let's try one shoulder back and then the other, making little circles with the shoulder. Let's reverse that and try rolling the shoulder forward and then the other. And then let's just settle. Now if you have a ball, let's take it and place it behind us. Even this jacket will do a fairly good job. I'm going to push all the way back, compressing that jacket between my back and the back of the chair, and then I'm going to rock side to side, moving that ball, jacket, piece of clothing across my back to get a little back massage. A couple more times, and then reach back and retrieve your ball, your item of clothing, and bring it back around. Now, taking that in one hand, come down to the side, out, and way up high before you let that arm fall over the body on the outside of that opposite ear. Breathing. One more breath. And then let's bring that arm back to the top and then down to the side. Let's switch over. So the ball comes down, it comes out, it goes up, and it comes over. Breathing. One more breath. And and then the ball comes back to the top and then comes back down into the lap. Let's step out wide and let's place that ball underneath the chair. And let's come back to a seated position in mid-chair. Let's drop our arms down. Let's bring them up into cactus. So remember, cactus is a position where your hands are spread wide, fingers are wide, elbows are making a 90-degree angle. You look a little bit like the end posts at the football game. Goal posts, I guess they are. Let's breathe. Just holding the arms here uses those muscles, strengthens them and builds them. With the next breath, let's take our palms and our elbows towards one another like we're closing the pages of a book. With the next breath, let's open that book again, back out into cactus. Once again, let's close. And then let's open. Doing a series of these moves, coming together in the front, coming back out to the side. And this time that we come together, let's stay there. Breathing. And if you like, trying to lift that unit of arm and hands and elbows. If that's too much, come back down a little bit, but breathe. And with the next breath, lower those arms down a bit. And then with that next breath, let's open that book again. All the way back out into cactus. Let's take a breath. And then let's take those arms down and let's shake them out at the bottom. Bringing those hands back to rest at the top of the thigh. Let's get in our seated pigeon today, so let's bring our seat bones all the way out to the front of the chair. Bringing our feet along with us and lining up our ankles underneath our knees. Let's take one foot and cross one ankle over the other. Now readjust your seat bones once you've done that to allow them to fall out to the side, your knee to fall out. You can stay here if you need to with the ankle at the ankle, or if possible, bring that ankle up to the opposite knee, laying a hand at the ankle and one on the knee. Growing taller, let's hinge forward with a nice straight back up through the neck and the head. Now this is not about how far you can hinge. It's about when you begin to feel that stretch. So you may likely feel it in this hip flexor joint right here, maybe in the side of the leg, maybe in the knee. If it causes pain, remember you can put it back down. You may feel a stretch in your lower back, and as you breathe, gravity will take you just a little bit lower. But again, this flexibility is built over time, so don't rush it. With the next breath, let's tighten those core muscles and use them to lift the body. Once again, back up to vertical very slowly. And once you're there, if your eyes have been closed, you can open them. And then with the next breath, you can uncross that knee and ankle, taking that foot back down to the floor. Let's go to the other side with our seated pigeon. So this foot comes out and crosses over. We readjust our seat bones, allowing that hip flexor joint to open, that knee to fall out. Then let's draw the ankle up to the top of the knee. One hand on the ankle, one on the top of the knee. Let's grow taller. And let's hinge forward. Now it's very likely that this will feel different to you, depending on which side you are on. So breathe through. If you have pain, come back up out of it. But expect a stretch. And over time, we can lengthen that stretch and build flexibility. One more breath. And then let's tighten our core muscles and let's use them to lift our body once again back up to vertical, slowly coming there. Taking a breath. And then removing that ankle from the knee and returning that foot to the floor. Coming back to mid-chair, lining up the ankles underneath the knees once again. Let's get in our cow face pose. So this arm can come down, it can come up, and the palm can come to the nape of the neck. This hand can come out, palm forward like you're saying stop. Turn the arm, lay the back of the palm in the lower back. Work your hands towards one another in the center of your back. They may or may not come together, but breathe. Feeling that stretch in the lower arm, probably primarily in that shoulder as well. Don't force it. Don't hurt yourself. This is gradual. One more breath. And then slowly take that lower hand and arm and work it down toward the chair. Removing it and bringing the hand back to the top of the thigh. Take that top hand up and back down. Dropping both arms. Let's come down. Let's sweep out. Let's come up to the top and come into the center before we go to the other side. So this arm comes down. It sweeps out and up. Palm is to the nape of the neck. This hand comes out. Arm turns, back of hand goes into the lower back. Sit back up straight. Work those arms and hands in towards one another. Trying to sit up straight, good and tall, and breathing. One more breath. And then that lower arm can slowly work its way down and the hand come down to the chair, come off, come back to the top of the thigh. Then the top hand and arm comes up and then follows down. Once again, dropping both arms down. Let's take them out into the top and then come back into the center. It's time for our seated resting position. So if for you, that's sitting up straight like I am doing right now, that's a good position. You can turn your palms up or down, you can close your eyes, and you can breathe. Some of us may prefer to scoot back in the chair, and that's fine as well. Placing your legs maybe a little further apart, still closing your eyes, feeling really good about what you've done today, both for your body and your mind. Continue breathing these good deep breaths, and I'll let you know when it's time to come back. With your next breath, allow your chin to fall gently downward as you breathe, enjoying the stretch in the back of the neck. And with the next breath, rolling that head over slowly toward one shoulder, and then allowing it to roll back down to center chest. And roll gently to the other side. Letting your head become a pendulum that swings slowly from side to side. As you breathe, a couple more. And then let's bring our head back to rest at center chest with the chin down toward the chest. Let's just breathe. One more breath. And then let's lift our face back up to center. Let's open our eyes and let's take our face upward toward the sky. Breathing, relaxing. And then let's return our face again to center. Let's end our practice today with our 3 deep breaths and inhales and exhales. So arms can come down, come out to the side, come up to the top, and then come into the center once again. Arms down, reach out, up to the top, and then into the center. Our last time, down, out, and up, and then into center. Namaste.